As I got older, I started to immerse myself into the world of financial information, financial education, because I want financial independence so much that I dived into articles and books. I watched lots of YouTube videos and I learned a lot. You see, life is difficult as an adult. There are people out here living paycheck to paycheck and never quite making ends meet. We all want money, and not just any kind of money, but the kind of money that allows me to live life on my own terms. Yes, I'm talking about financial independence. So today's entry is about sharing with the world the lessons I've learned that I am implementing and will be implementing, condensed into uncommon tips for achieving financial independence. And let me tell you, these tips are good. And this is on top of me watching Nisha on YouTube. Fantastic young lady, I must say. So let's get rich in every sense of the word, shall we? Here are 10 tips for financial independence that you might not have heard before. I'm not saying you could have, but you might not have heard them the same way before. And I think this is the beauty of recording oneself or content creation or doing YouTube, I think. The first one, money doesn't grow on trees, but it does grow in a high yield savings account. So jokes aside, really, you may have heard and read it that it is the best way to start. It's best to start saving early to get into the habit, but most importantly to save for rainy days. So to save at least 6 months of one's living expenses. If you manage to get it done, don't leave it in an ordinary savings account. There's no point. What you need is a high yield savings account, and that can help you earn more interest on your savings, helping you to grow it over time. Try and find out or source out a decent savings account that pays well in interest. Then place your emergency funds there and leave it alone for emergencies only. Emphasis on emergencies. The second tip is to skip the daily latte and invest in a cow instead. Okay, this one's a bit extreme, but the point is to prioritize your spending, make choices that will help you to achieve your financial goals. So your daily Starbucks or Nero coffee might be costing you £3.95, but if you calculate it over the course of a week and a month and a year, you have a decent amount of money. So I stopped buying those coffees. I don't do them anymore. Instead of spending money on small indulgences every single day, you get once in a while is fine, but consider putting that money into an investment account. Plum does a very good one, I think. How about, you even buy a Starbucks share when your money does rise to it? I think that's one thing I started to do now, is to look around my home and my lifestyle. What companies am I seeing within my home? And I save up to try and buy shares in that company rather than just giving them my money. The third tip is don't just save for rainy days, save for a rainy month. So most financial advisors do recommend having an emergency fund with enough money to cover 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. But why should we stop there? If we can, we should aim to save more, right? So that we're better prepared for unexpected expenses or even job losses, which by the looks of it and the looks of recent news, it's nothing to write home about. So this is why there's so much rush for side hustles, people trying to find additional income. I learned something recently while watching a lady. She said, if you think about it, you get your bills several times in a month. Why should you have an income once a month? And that really hit me. If your income comes once a month, but your bills come several times a month, how do you cover it? The gap is way too much. But I leave that with you to ponder over as well. The next tip is to think of debt as a frenemy. So sometimes it's helpful, but mostly it's annoying. So there are times when debt can be useful, such as when you're taking out a mortgage to buy a home, or if you're investing in your education, your continuous professional development. But for the most part, debt is a burden that can hold you back from achieving financial independence. So best to avoid it if you can. Unless you know that your return on investment is great, then go for it. The next tip is for you to be a savvy shopper. Don't be cheap. And I'm very guilty of this one until recently. So being frugal and looking for ways to save money is very important. I can sort of see that in my own life, but the idea is to not let it become an obsession. So sometimes it's worth spending a little more on quality items that will last forever. So for instance, if you're thinking that you need to go into Primark to get a dress. Now, not bashing Primark, but for this example, I'm going to use Primark, and then let me compare it to, say, what's a high end? Harvey Nichols. If you bought your dress from Primark because you're going to wear it for summer. Now, bearing in mind that after summer, Primark clothes, funny, the quality may go down a bit after that, even though you didn't pay a lot, you get what you paid for, right? Whereas if you were to pop into Harvey Nichols and pick up a dress there, you know the dress is going to be in your wardrobe for time or years to come, and it will still retain its quality. Now, the idea is that if you need to think about how many times you wish to wear this dress before you give it away, before you dump it. And then you think about it. Whatever decision we make, something I've learned also is that we will find every way to convince ourselves that our decision is right. So there we have it. Sometimes it's worth spending a little more on a quality item that will last longer rather than constantly replacing cheap items that wear out quickly. The next tip is to avoid lifestyle inflation. It's a slippery slope. Yes, as you earn more money, it's very tempting to start spending more too. But if you let your expenses just grow along with your income, you'll never achieve financial independence. It's never going to happen. So what I have learned is to keep my expenses down as low as possible and then invest the rest. So if I were to get a salary increase, I wouldn't go all of a sudden buying additional things that I never needed before just because the money is now there. Live within your means. I guess that's the last thing on that one. The next thing is to invest in yourself. It's the best ROI, return on investment. So whether it's taking classes to learn a new skill or you're investing in your health through exercise and good nutrition, I'm not saying pay for that gym and only turn up once a week. No, that's not what I'm saying. If you pay for the gym, turn up every single day. You are paying for it. So taking care of yourself can pay off in so many ways. You'll be happier, you have a clear mind, mental clarity, healthier, and you become much more productive. All these can lead to a higher income and better financial stability if you really think about it. The next tip I have is don't be afraid to ask for help. Financial advisors exist for a reason, not the YouTube financial gurus. No, financial advisors do exist for a reason. So if you're not sure how to invest your money or you're struggling with debt, don't be afraid to seek help from financial advisors, but also be careful of the people whose content you consume. I watch Humble Penny on YouTube, and that couple, they are fantastic. I think the problem that we do or we make when we watch content creators is that we get sucked into their world rather than sieving out the content creators for their authenticity. Find people or content creators who come across as authentic to you and seek out their support. They are there to help. They can provide guidance and help you make a plan for achieving financial independence. The financial advisors. The next tip I have is to be patient. See, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is financial independence. This lesson has hit me so hard, and I have taken it on. Achieving financial independence takes time, patience, and discipline. I don't expect to become financially independent overnight, not in the next 1 year, unless I win the lottery. Yes. Instead, I'm focusing on making small, consistent progress over time. I'm taking baby steps in my own way for me to achieve this financial independence. You know, you've heard the saying, tiny rivers make an ocean. The baby steps we take is what is going to get us far. The next tip is for you to remember, or for me to always remember, that money can't buy happiness, but it can buy me financial independence, which is pretty close. Now, at the end of the day, financial independence isn't just about having a lot of money. It's about having the freedom for me to live the life that I want, to travel whenever I want, to travel to wherever I want, freedom to make time for the things that matter to me, to show up the way I want, to have the impact that I desire, and to be anywhere at any time. So those are my tips to becoming financially independent. I am on that journey. Come on the journey with me.